I'm Robin Bennett, one of the co-founders of the Dog Gurus. Susan Briggs over there, she's the other co-founders. And for those that are new to us, the Dog Gurus helps you launch, grow, and profit your pet care business. So we help pet care businesses at all ages and stages of growth. And I am going to bring up Andrea while Susan introduces her, because we're really excited to have her joining us.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Some of the coaching programs Robin and I have been in, we get the opportunity, experts from around the country, and Andrea Hoffer is the founder, and I don't know if it's CEO, but she's the chief around AHA Recruiting Experts. And when I first met her at our coaching event, I was like, you are not escaping me, because hiring is one of the biggest challenges our industry has always had. And yeah, she was going to speak at our event that got canceled for COVID. And so now she's going to actually do workshops, which I think, and Andrea, that worked out great because you have so much to share. But anyway, welcome. And do you want to tell people a little bit about your background? Because you do understand small business, and then how you became a recruiting expert.
Ooh, that's a long story, but I'll try to keep it short.
Okay.
First, I just want to say thank you for having me today. And thank you. I'm so excited to be attending the Dog Guru conference in April. I'm so excited. It's actually happening. So I look forward to that. But so my background, I originally actually started my career in higher education. And so I have a degree and experience in helping students to grow, to develop leadership skills, to be the best potential they can be. And I actually learned a lot about hiring in that. On college campuses, especially where I was, we had a whole process about recruiting and hiring, and we did ongoing training. And I just learned so many tools from that experience. And then fast forward many years, I left higher ed and I opened my own spa. So I do have background in small business. I had a spa for 10 years, 35 employees.
Wow.
And the first problem and ongoing problem was that revolving door and finding the right people and trying to juggle the day-to-day of small business, especially when you're interacting with the public so often all day long. And so you can just put certain things aside and you do them shooting from the hip. And that's what I was doing with hiring, and it wasn't working. And then one day I said, this is not what I was taught. Why am I just letting people walk in the door, doing a 10-minute interview and hiring them? Because that is not what I know is the way to do it. So I took a little bit of time away from my business and for a couple of days, I'm not saying like months, and thought it through and created a process based on what I had learned before and some research I had done, and it started to work. And so we started tweaking it and adding more aspects to it. And then other spa owners started asking me, can you teach me what you're doing? And at the same time, I had this little consulting business that I was just doing on the side around team development, because I wanted to keep that part of me alive because from my college days. And those clients started saying, can you help us recruit? Can you teach us what you're doing? And eventually that consulting business just revolved into this wonderful recruiting business. And we still approach it as, even though we're recruiting, we're a full service recruiting firm, we really still see ourselves as educators. And our main goal is teaching business owners what to do, the best practices, so that they can get the best people and keep them as long as possible. And be successful with the business. I always say it's about business freedom. So you have the time to grow your business, but also to enjoy it, to take some time for yourself. That's my background in a nutshell of what brought me here.
That's great. What do we want to start out with, Susan? I know that if you are listening, tuning in, we have Andrea Hoffer here from AHA Business or Recruiting Experts. And we know that the pet care industry is having challenges with staffing right now. So if you're listening and you have questions, definitely post those in the questions section and we'll keep track of that. I guess I'll just throw it to Susan for some questions that we can talk about.
So Andrea, everybody right now is trying to find staff. So I guess what are maybe the top 3 things people could focus on right now that's still working for that you're finding still works and works for the clients? What are the keys to focus on when you're trying to recruit and hire right now?
The first thing is, and this is not the sexy part, this is not the easy part, right? Is doing some discovery within yourself. What do you really need? Who do you need? What are the success traits? The types of characteristics that people who've been in these positions in the past and been successful, what characteristics did they have? Because you want to get a really good feel for this so that you can recognize the person when you see it, or recognize they're not the right fit. Then, and we're going to, at the conference, we're going to go through all of these discovery exercises and really get you to think and start to create what we call a candidate persona. So you can really get a feel for who you're looking for, but also where they hang out, where you're going to reach them. It's not just about the job boards. As a matter of fact, job boards aren't really, especially in this labor market, so successful. I'm not saying there's still something you want to try, but don't put all your beans in that basket. When we're recruiting, we'll think about the job boards that we think could be good for that specific position, but then we also think about where else could these candidates be. And a lot of times it's social media. Find out where your current or past employees are. Where do they hang out on social media? Is it Instagram? Is it Twitter? Is it TikTok? That's a big one. We're on all of those channels. And you need to create things around what it's like to work at your business, both the positive and negative. And I'm not saying to focus on the negative, but giving them a realistic picture of what it's. If they're going to be having to clean up dog doo-doo sometimes, make that, part of it, but you can make it fun, because you don't want them thinking everybody thinks about the easy part of the job. They don't always think about some of the challenges, some of the things they might not like. And you want to get somebody who's going to stick with you and thrive. We do a lot with social media, and not just posting. And I know the dog gurus are great with social media because you're doing this Facebook Live right now, but also you can source. We call it sourcing. It's a recruiting term. On social media, you can look at who's following you, who can you direct message and ask them, would you be interested in learning? It's become a labor market where you need to become very proactive. We're used to the reactive. We just stick up a posting and sit back and hundreds of resumes come in. It's not like that anymore. And really that was never very effective because you waste so much time going through loads and loads of resumes that may not be the right fit. You want to be proactive about reaching out to people and letting them know about your opportunity and what's great about it.
So I think what's cool about that is, which I never thought about, is that most pet care businesses that we work with do use Facebook as a client advertising and marketing and tool, because a lot of their clients are on Facebook. It's interesting because I don't know if the younger generation, we all know that Facebook tends to be an older crowd. So it's interesting if when people say, oh, I tried to, post something on Facebook and it didn't work, or I didn't get any clients or whatever, that might be an actual reason to go to TikTok, which I have been personally resisting because I just don't have time for another social media platform. But it does make sense. That video that you shared, Susan, that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, there was a video about an incident that happened in a daycare, which was on TikTok. That thing was viewed millions of times. It was it went viral on TikTok with both positive and negative comments. But it's interesting because that probably is a really good way to find people, which I hadn't thought about before. That's a cool idea. What are some of the things that you've seen change since COVID in terms of hiring?
The biggest is, and this was a trend we were starting to see anyway, but COVID accelerated it. And that's, people are not just looking for a job. They're looking for something they can really connect to. They want to know the business that they're becoming a part of stands for something. They have a mission, not just why they exist as far as the transactional relationship, but there's something more to it. And they want to know that they will play a big part in that, whether it's relationship with the community or something else. They want to know they're a part of something bigger. And it's become almost more important than anything else. People really are looking for that connection. And then the right up there with it is that flexibility, them wanting to drive their own life. It's not that people are lazy, it's that they want the balance of being able to do some of the things that they want to do on their own time, and then be able to contribute to the business in a way that doesn't interfere with some of the other things in their life. And I know sometimes certain jobs it's harder to give that flexibility to.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about that in the past. We've been talking to our members about that very thing, that they want to be some part of something bigger than just, hey, you're here to clean up, after the dogs or clean out kennels or whatever. What if you had to look at some various industries, what are some unique ways people are doing that people are providing that connection to something bigger that you've seen? The thing that comes to mind for me is things like Tom's Shoes, where you buy a pair of shoes and they're giving another, pair away or something like that. But that's more of a broader scale. So I'm just trying to look for ideas that might be on a smaller scale, or is everything really on a big scale? I don't know.
No, I don't think everything's on a big scale. I just met with a couple of business owners yesterday who they were co-business owners of a retail business. And it's amazing to me in this environment that somebody's open. They were still building, that somebody's opening a retail business. And I'm really happy to see that. And they were showing me that they are connected to a much bigger mission, and they were telling me about all the different charities that they support. And they actually they took me on a tour with their camera of they're having a mural painted throughout the entire space and outside the space that represents all the different causes that they support. And then they'll contribute by having them and their team go out, and I can't remember all the causes, but to contribute to the community. They were very big on contributing to their specific local community. And so that's one way. It could be that there is something, I actually know one business that is a pet groomer, and one of their core missions is that they want to educate pet owners about how to keep your pet healthy. And there's so many things. I'm a fairly new dog owner, and he may speak up at some point during this because he doesn't like me not giving him attention. But there's so many things I'm still learning, and it's important that somebody who's an expert in the field finds easy ways to educate us on how often do you brush your teeth, and even just how long do you brush his teeth, and what's the best way to do that, and cleaning his ears. And if you don't do that regularly, what could happen? What problems could it cause? And my vet doesn't share these things with me. I knew that this was the mission of this pet groomer. He does it very well. And he has these cards that he hands out to each person who comes. And it's like a little schedule of the things that you need to be doing. And the whole team knows that is one of their core missions, to help pet owners keep their pets, their family members, really healthy. And so that's something on a smaller scale, but yet when you think about it, a very large scale. But you don't have to give millions of dollars to a well-known company, and you're making a big difference in the world.
Yeah, and I think really so many pet industries, so many pet care businesses are associated with a rescue group, especially, or a local shelter, or somebody in the community where they're trying to help. But I also think the mission, that's one of the dog gurus' mission, is ultimately it's all about the dog. So we know that if we can influence pet care facilities owners, we're helping tons of dogs. And if those pet care facility owners take that mission on, because frankly, Susan and I say this all the time, they have so much knowledge that pet parents don't. And giving them that information really will make life better for all of the dogs. So I love that. And I really do think the complaints that I feel like I hear about the younger generation trying to hire, and they're lazy and they don't have work ethic. And I've seen so many really great employees in our company as well as in other companies who are amazing. And the difference, I think, is that tied to something bigger than themselves. So I think that's really important. That's very cool.
Yeah, and I think a lot of our businesses do that education, but I think what they're not doing, Andrea, maybe is in the recruiting process, talking about that it's, a part of them, and realizing that will make a connection and help them actually hire people who share a goal to help educate. And there's a lot of new pet owners right now. So that's been an easy one for people to get behind. So I think that's awesome. So what else? I know in the conference we're doing like 3 workshop sessions. So I know you have quite the process. You maybe preload, and we would love for you guys to come and spend time and get this done for your business. But what else can they do in the recruiting process to help them hire those people that will stay with them and be really good contributors?
One of the things, and as I alluded to it a little bit earlier, is to the material that you put out there about your opportunity, make it attractive, and make it attractive to the right person. So while you're doing the candidate persona, you can think about the things that some people might like to do and might not like to do, but then some of those things that maybe they don't like to do, some other people might like, and that might be getting a little confusing. But I would like to share with your audience that might help. We have our irresistible job posting kit that I think Robin's going to be putting the link in the chat. This kit it actually takes you through some of the exercises we will be doing at the conference, but we'll be digging in even more at the conference, and you'll have me there to ask questions to and help you through. But it will start getting you thinking about what do I truly need, and what can I put in this job posting that's going to attract someone. And then part of this kit is there's a link to go to what we call our job posting wizard, and it will start to walk you through creating that post. But do the exercises first. I'm always saying that. And once you finish it and hit submit, it will email you the posting in the correct format. And you just need to review it and make sure there are any typos, and you might want to change a couple of things, but it will look the way we recommend doing your posting. But most candidates will not read your posting all the way through. What we recommend is starting your posting with at least 3 to 4 engaging questions. And to me, this is one of the most important parts of the posting. So don't just throw out any questions there. Really think about who you're looking for and what questions will be having this person saying, yes, that's me. And so if you can get them to say, yes, that's me to those 4 questions, then they're more likely to be brought in, engage, and start to read more of that posting. And then if you follow this formula, it should answer their questions and start to attract the right people. Nothing's foolproof, unfortunately, but I promise you, if you do this, you will get much better results. And we've had lots of people tell us how just changing the posting has gotten them better results, of being very particular about it, intentional about who you want to attract, making it easy to read and easy to scan is also a big thing as well.
I did put that link to the irresistible job posting kit in there. I actually just signed up myself. So I do have a question. We have heard you always would get people that wouldn't show up for an interview, or sometimes even you offer them the job and they don't show up the first day. But it does seem since COVID, at least in the pet industry, that has significantly increased, just people ghosting interviews or calls or whatever. Have you seen that in like across the board? And are there things that you can do to reduce that kind of ghosting?
So that's always been a challenge, especially when it comes to entry-level hourly employees. We have seen it increase. Probably more of what we've seen increase over the pandemic is just less people even confirming or interested in the interview than no-shows for it. One of the things that I did at my spa, that when I was sharing that story earlier, was directed just at that. I started doing group interviews when it came to the hourly employees. And we'll go through some of that at the conference as well. But I was getting tired of just preparing for somebody and they didn't show up. Or even they did show up, I didn't find doing as the first interview a one-on-one interview. It seemed like a waste of my time, and it wasn't getting me the results I needed. So I created what I call a group informational interview, and we did them regularly. We still do them with our clients, especially the ones that have entry level hourly. We train them. First, we help them conduct it, and then it's so easy to follow that they then take it over and conduct it themselves. And essentially, it's 90 minutes is the format that we've created. Very interactive. It's informative. So it's giving them a good feel for what the job is about. But at the same time, there are different role plays and exercises that are fun, but are starting to give you an idea of how they would show up on the job. And the way we approached it is, if we invited 12 people and if we got 12 people to confirm, we were lucky if 5 showed up.
Wow.
Which is fine. I didn't waste 12 hours of my life, and I got 5 potentially good candidates. And what typically would happen from that is, by the end, I can't even tell you how many people would thank me and tell me, this was so much fun. I learned so much about myself and about the job. But you know what? This isn't a job for me. And that was gold to me, because then I didn't waste their time. They didn't waste my time, and they left with a good impression of my company, and can go on and tell maybe the right person, to come visit, or even get people to come in and be a customer. But usually we'd have at least 2 or 3 people who would then get even more excited about the job. And we would then do individual interviews with them. And we know already that they have a much better feeling for what the job is about. And the no-show rate was much lower. I'm not going to say it completely went away, but it was a lot lower than if we just invited them for an interview, a one-on-one interview right off the bat. So I really recommend those. And we did them even when we didn't have a spot open. When we knew we needed a lot of hiring, we would do them sometimes every other week or monthly. But when we didn't have an opening that we knew of coming up right away, we did them quarterly. And if somebody popped out as a superstar, we still hired them. We found a place for them. I love
that. Yeah, that's great.
And you know what? It never didn't work out. It always, if somebody have a superstar came, we wanted to hire them, it always just fit. We never ended up going over budget.
That's awesome.
And it helped us to not be short-staffed, which was big.
Yeah, because I think when you're short-staffed, it's just not sustainable. It's hard on everybody. You lose the people you have because they burn out. And so, yeah, cracking this hiring challenge is really important for long-term health and sustainability of your business. So if you have questions for Andrea, you can post them in the chat and we'll ask her. What's like probably the biggest mistake small business owners make trying to hire?
I see so many mistakes. The biggest one, really the biggest is just not making it a priority. That was probably, and when I say that, you get so overwhelmed with the other aspects of your business, and you have to fill a seat that you don't put the time and effort in on the front end to make sure you get the right person. You just take somebody who looks good, comes in, because then you're just in that revolving door situation, and you might luck out. A lot of people do, but it's not intentional. It's not something that you're going to get the right person. And then the other is posting an ad on Indeed or a job board and expecting that's all they have to do. But I'm going to even go a little bit further, bigger than all of that, because I see this happen with a lot of my clients, is we will find them some great people, but then not having a good onboarding process.
Oh my God.
I guess I
have been like beating that drum for a while. We actually just did a webinar on onboarding and have been doing some teaching for our clients on onboarding, because we agree with 100%. You'll find the right person and lose them because your onboarding process is non-existent or stinks.
Yeah.
And we did not coordinate this.
Yeah, we did not
plan that with our own.
Yeah, we did not plan that.
We've had clients where we'll hear, because the candidates get to know us and they know we're responsive, because it's one of our values. It's one of the things that's important to us, to be responsive to the candidates and the clients, of course. And so they'll reach out to us saying, I can't tell you how often I've heard this about one particular client. This was years ago, where the candidate will be all excited, they're going to start, and then they'll be calling me late at night, the night before their start date. And this is an extreme. I'm sure this isn't happening at any of your members' businesses, but calling saying, Andrea, I'm supposed to start tomorrow. There were things I was supposed to memorize. I don't even know where I'm supposed to report, what time I'm supposed to report to, who I'm supposed to ask for. They kept saying they'd send it to me and I never got it. And I said, did you try calling them? He said, yes, but nobody's getting back to me. So we've seen this happen a lot with some businesses, maybe not to that extreme, but to different levels of extreme. And I think when you're talking about new employees, think of them as first graders starting in school for the first time. They don't even know where the bathroom is. They don't know how long they're going to have for a break. And they don't know what you're going to expect of them. The more you can give them ahead of time and make them feel comfortable and make it feel when they come in the first day, it's so clear to them. They know somebody's going to be there to greet them and they feel welcome and they know you're ready for them. Then you've started them off on the right foot. If you keep falling down on that part, you're never going to be able to keep good employees and they're going to talk. And that's just going to make the recruiting that much more difficult.
Well, and I think that's so true. And I also agree. And actually, Jocelyn said, I agree. Mine sucks. You can improve though, Jocelyn. I was also going to say though, and I've said this time and time again, those really good team members who are very organized, take responsibility, want to be in leadership. They're the ones that you want. They hate that chaos. They won't stay through it. And I'm like the perfect example. I'm a really hard worker as a volunteer, as an employee, whatever. But I have left places because I'm like, I can't deal with this. Like I just can't deal with it. I want to know that the place is organized, the things are flowing, and then I'll jump right in and be a part of that. But that's what I always say. I go, the people that you really want are the ones that hate that chaos the most. And you're not doing a good service to your business or yourself when you don't have a good process for onboarding.
And just a little tip, because I know we all have a lot on our plate. If you have some of those team members who are really organized, ask them how the onboarding was for them and how they would improve it. And ask them if they want to take leadership of developing the program. You'll be amazed at what they'll do for you. And then you didn't even have to lift a finger. And you'll get more people like them. I mean, that's what happened to me. I didn't really have, with AHA recruiting, it just grew so quickly. And one of my first team members, who is that off the charts organizational person, we need a better system. She built out an amazing onboarding and training system. And now she's my operation manager. She runs the whole company. And I didn't have to really do anything. She did it better than I even dreamed of.
That's awesome. We are definitely excited to have you coming to our live event. I did put a link to our live event somewhere in the comments. I'll put it back there again. But you also have a book coming out. So I'm going to put a link to that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your book?
Sure. Thank you. So the book is called Hire, HIGHER. And it's a practical guide for small to medium-sized business owners, just walking them through our processes. I tried to make it very step-by-step because that's how my brain thinks. And I wanted to make it easy to follow. And it takes you through the discovery process I talked about. It takes you through creating some recruitment marketing materials. And it talks a little bit about onboarding as well, although I think there'll probably be a sequel more specific about onboarding in the next couple of years. But the really cool part about it is it comes with a 3-month free membership to our Dream Team portal. And on our Dream Team portal are so many resources to help with recruiting and hiring and even onboarding. And so often in the book, it will say, refer to such and such worksheet to do this exercise, and there'll be a link to bring you to the worksheet on the portal. So it's very interactive and just gets you doing the steps that you need to do. It's not a long book. There are a few stories thrown in because I was told you need to put stories in to make it more interesting. And I'm more of a, I just want to tell them what they need to do. But I think it's a fairly easy read, and I'm hoping people will find it chock full of helpful tips.
And when does it come out? Next month?
It's going to come out in March.
Awesome.
Early March.
And so, Andre, that's great for people that are do-it-wires, and I think they need that. But I would love for you as a wrap up, because sometimes you just need to dedicate yourself some time to sit down, think about this, and get it. Just the format you've come up with for us at our event, that you're going to do 3 different sessions where there's time for them to work on it and get it done. So highlight what we'll do for those who come and participate in our live event in April. And it's early April, so it's not that far away.
No, it's very soon. Actually, I want to bring up the agenda in front of my face so that I don't forget anything. I had it right here. Here we go. So the first thing we're going to do, and I know I've talked about this a lot today already, is we're going to be walking through the discovery exercises and also creating your own job posting. But it's a work session. So first we're going to talk about and discuss what discovery looks like. And then we're going to actually work on it together. So by the time you're done with that work session, you're going to have a good, solid job posting for you to use. And the thing about the job posting, and I didn't mention this earlier, is if you do the job posting correctly, I believe the job posting is the key. It's almost your answer key on the interviews. So as you're interviewing, you'll be able to recognize, is this person, are they showing up the way this posting describes them, the way I want them to? So every person, and I learned this from one of my old bosses, is that you don't want to be comparing candidates against candidates. You want to be comparing each candidate against the candidate persona that you set out to begin with. And that will help you.
I watch that. I'd never thought about that before, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, she drilled that into us anytime she caught us comparing candidates. And I learned a lot from her, I must say. And then the next part is we're going to be talking about attracting those dream candidates. So the first part, we were getting clear on who these people are that we want. And then the next part, we're going to talk about how do we attract them? Where are they hanging out? And what kind of marketing materials do we need for this? So we'll actually walk through creating some recruitment marketing materials for that, or at least a plan, I should say. We're not going to go on do graphics at that moment, but we'll have a plan that you can then implement when you go back. And then lastly, sometimes my favorite section is we're going to be talking about recognizing, is this person in front of you a good fit? And so we'll talk about how to create interview questions that get you the information you need and what to listen for. And in our work session, we're going to take the formula on how to create effective interview questions, and we're going to use it to create your own interview questions. So when you leave, you're going to leave with essentially an interview guide that you'll be able to follow when you interview your next candidate, and also a rating sheet on being able to rate how that person did and if they're recognizing whether or not they are the right fit.
I'm excited.
Yeah. And that's only a part of the conference. I mean, it's going to definitely be 2 action-packed days of stuff, and all the HR workshops, I think, are going to be the highlight for most people, because it is the biggest pain point in the industry right now. But we are going to have also sessions on selling to your current clients so you can generate revenue that way. We're going to take a little bit deeper dive into memberships, because we get so many questions on creating a membership program. We're also going to talk about a membership program that's already done that you can just be an affiliate for if you don't want to create your own. So there's a ton of stuff we're going to do. It's bring your team and get ready for some serious work. So
it's great. Work done. And yeah, so we're finally going to do it, Andrea. We're going to be there in April, and you can definitely visit with her. And if you can figure out this recruiting and hiring net, just think about the stress that takes away from operating your business. And we say that times are tough now. I remember when I had my business, there were tough times. There's always challenges in recruiting and hiring team members. So I think this would be a great investment of time. And I love that we're doing it in a workshop format so that you are taking things that are done back to implement.
Exactly.